Endgame now. Spooky, huh? Hello, Internet! Welcome to Tales Showcase, where we were determined to get this video out before the end of the month. Whatever it takes. I'm your host, the Watcher of New Earth. Today we continue the Infinity Gauntlet story that we started a year ago, and if you didn't see that part 1, I'll link it right here and in the description, so give that a gander, and when you're done, hop on back and see the thrilling conclusion. For those of you that are ready though, let's get started. This is the Infinity Gauntlet number 4 through 6.
The story picks up where the last issue left off as Earth's heroes hurtle towards Thanos. Thanos, however, quickly freezes time, preventing any of the heroes from touching or hurting him. Unimpressed with their display of power, he plans on just wiping them from existence just like he did to the 50% of the population before. Mephisto, however, argues that maybe Thanos doesn't want to do that right now, considering that if he were to defeat all these heroes in combat, it might kind of impress Death. All he would have to do is cut himself off from some of the gems that allow him awareness of the universe, and then he could just wipe the floor with them with infinite power. While it would still be a wildly uneven fight, this does allow the heroes a slight chance of winning, which Mephisto argues might be enough to impress Death.
This argument pretty much equates to you being at a bar with your friend and telling him to impress a girl by hitting himself in the crotch. It'll show you got spunk.
Thanos, being a complete and total Nimrod, decides he's okay with this, and unfreezes time, allowing all the heroes to begin their assault. And while he does miss the initial attack that 4 of the heroes had laid out for him, they just completely start laying into him, and despite their best efforts, he immediately starts killing some fools. Thor, however, seems to have a pretty good opportunity of killing Thanos. However, Dr. Doom steps in, wishing to take the gauntlet, which prevents Thor from taking a clear shot.
Look, I'm a big Dr. Doom fan. Probably the biggest. No, there's no bigger Dr. Doom fan than me, quite frankly. I'm very certain of that. But if it's between him and the rest of existence, then, maybe kill him? Maybe.
Doom fails, of course, and Thor is taken out of the fight. Other heroes join in to attack, but Thanos just simply swats them away. However, Wolverine actually digs into him with his claws, apparently killing him. Except not really, because it's Thanos, and Thanos just alters reality and makes Wolverine's skeleton, which is made of adamantium, which is said to be one of the strongest metals in the world. He just takes it and turns it into sponge, leaving Wolverine a helpless, flimsy little mess on the ground. It's really a grotesque image that only a heartless animal would make jokes about.
Oh, who died on the floor while feeling great pain? Logan Spongeback. Won't somebody stop this? It's really insane. Logan Spongeback.
And if this is starting to look hopeless to you, that just goes on for pages. Thanos continues just killing heroes like the Scarlet Witch, Cyclops, the Vision. However, some of the most iconic characters actually aren't killed by Thanos. No, they're killed by Taraxia, the woman Thanos created to make Death jealous. And while initially you might think it's kind of a relief that they aren't killed by the guy who could literally turn them into sponge, they actually don't get off any easier. Taraxia murders Iron Man by tearing off his helmet, with his head still in it, and then murders Spider-Man by bashing his head in with a rock. Yeah.
Anyone else just kind of perturbed by how graphic those deaths were? I mean, that was really intense. More intense than all the other deaths. And it wasn't even Thanos. What?
The big guns are finally called in, and Thanos just kind of dispatches them the same, which means Nova, Thanos, and Quasar, which were the biggest bets for these guys, just kind of get dispatched really easily. It's a real disappointment. However, the misery and failure isn't done yet, because who's left but Captain America? Cap, however, calm and collected as ever, strides up to Thanos, looks him dead in the eye, stands his ground and tells him that he'll never win. Not if there's even one person who has the courage to stand up to him. Those are his beliefs, and he's more than happy to die for them. However, Adam Warlock and the Silver Surfer, who have been observing the battle the whole time, decide it's finally time to make their move. The Surfer speeds through the stars, hoping to grab the gauntlet right before he kills Captain America, and he misses.
One job. You had one job. And you messed it up.
Thanos, now realizing the folly of his ways, quickly wipes away evidence of the battle. He then wills himself back to full strength as he senses an even greater struggle is on the way. And the comic ends with all the cosmic entities arriving, preparing to take the gauntlet by force.
And so the biggest, most powerful forces in the Marvel Universe all unite to stop one common threat. And no one really cares, because like everybody's favorite character is dead by now, so stakes are kind of low.
The next issue begins seconds later, as the cosmic forces begin fighting, and it causes power ripples throughout the universe. There's a whole bunch of cosmic energy, Kirby crackle flying all over the place. It's an amazing spectacle, Celestials are throwing planets, it's a whole big deal, and it just kind of feels like noise. You know? Cool, impressive noise, sure, but just noise.
Which leads me back to my point that this fight is a little difficult to get involved in because, you know, it's just a bunch of super powerful forces that we can't comprehend battling another super powerful force that we can't possibly comprehend, with no character there to tether us to the here and now. I mean, sure, the battle has stakes and all, and the art, well, let me tell you, fantastic. Fantastic art. But, you know, it's like when your parents are fighting and you're like a toddler. Sure, you love them and you hate that they're arguing or whatever, but, you know, you could get involved, or there's building blocks over there.
One interesting development, though, is Mephisto actually going against Thanos. Apparently he was with him the whole time just to, like, be there at the end and try and take the gauntlet away. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I guess the devil's not completely evil. You know, whatever. It doesn't work. Thanos kind of chokes him and throws him away.
And let's be honest, this is what Loki should have gotten in the movies. You done did him wrong, guys. You done did him wrong. He will be missed. Not by me, but I'm sure Tumblr will.
All the cosmic beings decide to start shooting one big ray at Thanos, and it looks like it's gonna work, but it doesn't, and he just traps them all, because they're a bunch of morons. This, however, does signal the entrance of Eternity, and they have a whole big thing too, and everything goes white, and the Surfer and Warlock aren't sure who won, but Warlock says it's Thanos, because, you know, of course. Thanos then decides to assume Eternity's form, leaving his body lifeless. Nebula, however, sees this as an opportunity and steals the gauntlet away from the moron.
And alas, poor Thanos, you flew too close to godhood. Or in English, you done up.
Now possessing infinite power, Nebula sends Thanos and Taraxia away. In deep space, Taraxia quickly dies as Thanos didn't have the foresight to create her with the ability to live without his ultimate power. Thanos, feeling like a right goose, succumbs to the idea of him just quietly floating in space for the end of his days. However, a portal suddenly opens, allowing Thanos to pass through, and he's suddenly in the Sanctum Sanctorum, along with Strange, Warlock, and the Surfer. The Silver Surfer, kinda pissed about him killing all of his friends, decides to start laying into Thanos. Strange, however, stops this as he summons a couple characters that he was able to save before Thanos, you know, murdered them horribly. The assembled characters then decide that they're going to take one final swing at getting the gauntlet from Nebula now. However, before they leave, Warlock decides that he kinda wants to discuss something with Thanos. Thanos mockingly asks why Warlock assumes that he's so willing to help. And Warlock says that since Thanos had the Soul Gem while Warlock was in it, he kinda knows everything about Thanos. He knows him better than he knows himself. And in the process of finding out everything about Thanos, he's realized that Thanos has spent his entire life seeking ultimate power, but he doesn't really think he deserves it, which is why he continually sabotages himself. Thanos struggles to explain the situation and just eventually gives in and decides to help them.
No, and this is brilliant on Warlock's part. I'm serious, like, Think about it. It's one thing if you can't perform, but if you personally are sabotaging yourself so you can't perform, I feel like that's worse.
With a plan now in place, Strange sends the other guys ahead of them. However, they're quickly dealt with by Nebula. And the issue ends with Thanos arriving alongside Strange, the Surfer, and Warlock. However, Nebula only addresses the other three, not acknowledging Adam Warlock.
Well, that's rude. Golden lives matter too, jackass.
The next issue picks up right there as the others start goading Nebula, claiming she doesn't have the correct vision to wield infinite power. She, however, disagrees, and to show them that she's better than Thanos, she reverses time back to 24 hours, essentially reverting everything that Thanos did. Which also kind of reverts her back to her weird zombie form, so, mistakes were made.
You really should have phrased that better.
Nebula quickly snaps herself back, but doesn't realize that Strange, the Surfer, and Warlock still remain due to Strange's magic. Adam, however, reaches out to the Gauntlet, which causes it to zap the Surfer. Nebula is confused as to what just happened, but has no time to really ponder it as the cosmic beings that she accidentally freed now return to strike. It's revealed that Adam Warlock and the Silver Surfer were trapped in the Soul Gem now. Well, trapped isn't the exact word. This is all part of the plan still. Warlock and the Surfer then do a soul bonding, exposing kind of thing. I don't know. He did it with Strange earlier. They need to do this because the Surfer needs to act as an anchor while Warlock does whatever he's about to do. After it's done, the Surfer expresses concern about Warlock's blasé attitude towards life. Warlock answers by saying that perhaps his emotional nerves have been cauterized.
Okay, so there's no way that Warlock doesn't have a whole bunker full of goth poems, right? Right.
Soon after, Nebula is revealed to have beaten the cosmic beings. However, this doesn't help because Warlock, his plan is already in action, and he manages to create disharmony among the gems, which causes the Gauntlet to kind of sputter out and remove itself from Nebula's arm. Strange then returns the heroes that disappeared before in an attempt to stop either Thanos or Nebula from getting the Gauntlet. So there's a struggle, and no one's sure who's going to get the Gauntlet. Everybody's reaching for it when suddenly, in a flash of light, Adam Warlock appears and now he has it. Seems a little shady to not share that part of the plan with anyone else, but here we are. So anyway, now Warlock is the possessor of infinite power. If it makes you feel any better, he pinky promises to use it wisely. Attention is then turned back to Thanos and Nebula, and Hulk and Drax move towards Thanos, but Thanos then activates a bomb on his belt, claiming that he would rather die than be imprisoned. Thor obliges, hits him with a hammer, and sends him into deep space, where Thanos explodes. That leaves only Nebula left. Arrow says that she will be imprisoned on Titan, and Warlock obliges, clearing the field of everybody except Doctor Strange, Thor, and the Surfer. Warlock claims that he kept them around because each one of them has seen his soul. Thor, I guess it was in a tie-in issue, because it certainly didn't happen in this event. I've read this comic several times and it's never happened. Let's assume that it did, though. Anyway, because they've seen his soul, he wants them to go out and tell the universe that he now has the Gauntlet and everything's cool, man. Nothing's gonna happen. He's cool. They, however, kinda don't feel like they can do that. Because ultimate power corrupts ultimately. That's the saying. That's definitely the saying. Adam quietly realizes that they're not gonna go for it, and as they move towards him in an attempt to take the Gauntlet, he whisks them away.
Good talk.
In their place, he quickly summons his companions, Pip the Troll, and the newly resurrected Gamora. They then embark on their journey as Warlock transports them to another planet 60 days in the future, to which Pip the Troll says, "That's impossible."
That's impossible? That's impossible, really. Because when 50% of the universe just blinked out of existence, you sat down and watched Alf. But teleportation and time travel, that blows your mind. Who are you, Pip the Troll?
The trio journey onwards as they find a scarecrow made out of Thanos' old armor, as it's revealed that Thanos had faked his own death. Warlock, of course, knew this and came to speak with Thanos. They trade pleasantries, I guess, as Thanos says that he's kinda done with the whole seeking ultimate power thing. He's just gonna chill on this farm for a while. Maybe forever. Who knows? I know, because I've read comics in the future. I know he doesn't. But, that's what he's thinking at the moment. The trio are soon on their way and leave Thanos to his farming or whatever the heck. And the comic ends with Thanos sitting and pondering that despite losing ultimate power and being made to look like a fool in front of everyone, he still feels that he got the upper hand on this deal, with Warlock now having to shoulder the responsibility of guarding the entire universe, and Thanos just getting to sit around and farm.
And thus, Farmer Thanos never bothered anyone ever again. Just kidding, he continues to be a menace that plagues the universe. Anyway, that was Infinity Gauntlet number 4 through 6. And it's really, really great.
The Infinity Gauntlet is a fantastic story that shows the perils of ultimate power and the consequences of finally achieving it. Thanos has spent his entire existence on the quest for this ultimate power, but never really gave any thought to what he would do with it, as it's shown multiple times in the comics that he's kind of making stuff up along the way, and is easily influenced by outside sources, see Mephisto and/or Death. Warlock, on the other hand, understands and respects the consequences of ultimate power and is thus not really into the idea. Thinks it's kind of a bummer. You can even see it in that last confrontation with Thor, Strange, and the Surfer, the quiet sadness that comes over him when he realizes that he's not the same being that he was a couple minutes ago. The ultimate power has already changed him irreversibly, but since he knows the consequences of giving up the power, he soldiers on regardless. The comic really works best when it's dealing with the dichotomy of these two, as they're essentially two sides of the same coin. Unfortunately, the rest of the story isn't quite as solid as this. You know, I personally am not a fan of the whole big cosmic battle with all the other cosmic forces for reasons that I've already stated. It seems like a lot, and it is impressive in scale and artistry, but, you know, there's very little emotional weight to it. And for anybody that hasn't read this comic before and is picking it up with the hope that Earth's heroes will all band together and use some solid teamwork to defeat Thanos, well, they're going to be sorely disappointed, aren't they? However, this can also be seen as an interesting subverting of expectations, suggesting more to the superhero genre than just guys in capes coming in, swinging their hammers or shields or repulsor blasts or whatever, and saving the day like that. In that regard, though, it's really more up to personal preference. Regardless, I think that the Infinity Gauntlet, despite its more draggy bits, offers a really fun, interesting story that, you know, doesn't exactly go the way that you would imagine, and that's kind of cool for a comic to do. And let's speak about the art for a sec. George Perez does the first issue, and like everything George Perez does, it's fantastic. But someone I actually don't know that much about is Ron Lim, who handles the last two issues that we covered today. I kind of glossed over the more impressive pieces of art that he did because, you know, in fairness, while I don't really like the cosmic battle bit, it is a marvelous endeavor in art. You can really see the motion and like the burning sensations that you must feel like being in the heat of that battle. So, you know, hats off to him. Like, I don't really know that much about him, but like, he also does a great job of maintaining the balance between his style and George Perez's style. While Ron Lim's is obviously its own thing, it doesn't feel like a jarring transition when the change is made from issue 4 to issue 5. So, you know, as someone who appreciates consistency in art and comic books, you know, I like that. Overall, really solid book. You should give it a look.
So be sure to check it out. Even though the Infinity Saga is coming to a close in the movies, this classic will go on for years to come. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. This is the Watcher of New Earth, signing off. Hi, I'm the Watcher of New Earth. If you like that video, hit that subscribe button, maybe even the bell icon. It probably does something, right? I mean, YouTube hired someone to put it there, so the least we could do is show appreciation by hitting it.